the Green Socialist Organizing Project, has a few goals to complement the National Green Party, to create more political education, which is like this video, to help local parties build, to create like campaign manuals and training and things like that, so folks know how to build a local party in their community, and so of course help electoral campaigns, to help candidates, but also to help these issue campaigns. When we go and we do advocacy and we do turn out to council meetings and all, like those are issue campaigns, and those are another way that Greens can have an influence. That's not necessarily running for office. There's many different ways to build our party and our movement. So whatever makes sense for your community.
And it's super important, right? When we're engaging in these movements in our communities, there's a balancing act, right? You don't run to the front with your Green Party flag and try to take credit,
Yeah.
right? Try to center yourself, but at the same time, you need to show up as a Green. You need to show up as a Green Socialist when you enter into working with these movements. And why it's really important to do that is because when we're in the organizing, lifeblood of these movements, we have power to determine the direction that the movement wants to move, right? So for ranked choice voting is a perfect example, right? It's a really hot topic in progressive circles right now. But when you actually look at what most ranked choice voting groups are proposing, it's only ranked choice voting.
Mm.
They aren't addressing ballot access. They aren't addressing money in politics. They aren't addressing the first past the post system, which is awful, right? And first past the post is maybe the worst offender when it comes to why U.S. politics are so awful, right? But they're really focused on ranked choice voting. And, the cynic in me says they're only focused on ranked choice voting because all they care about is winning Democratic primaries against incumbents. They don't actually care about the broader democracy, crisis that we have in the United States. They just want to elect better Democrats because most of these organizations are essentially front groups. They're filled with Democratic Party activists. But if Greens are in there, if Greens, build trust, if Greens build relationship and respect, we can now have real conversations where when we say, when we talk about ranked choice voting in Illinois, and I say ranked choice voting alone in Illinois means only that you get to rank a Republican and a Democrat. It changes absolutely nothing because we still have to collect 50,000 signatures in 9 days to get our governor candidate on the ballot, right? Therefore, ranked choice voting doesn't help in Illinois because we have such a repressive ballot access system. When I say that as an outsider, I'm blown off, right? When I did a podcast with Fair Vote Illinois' executive director and destroyed him because he didn't have any a broad critique whatsoever beyond just saying ranked choice voting's better, right? It didn't make any impact. But if you're on their coordinating committee, if you're in those discussions, you can push it. And the same thing goes for Medicare for all, right? When Medicare for all, most Democratic Medicare for all groups are only talking about insurance, right? But as a Green Socialist, you can go in and say, that's great. But the Medicare for all system is going to be a feeding trough for private big pharma, for private medical manufacturing, for private providers, right? We need to socialize the entire system. No profit should be allowed in any sector of that system. When you're inside the movement, you can help guide, the movement in that direction. And, same thing, like if you're involved in your local Sunrise movement, you should be actively saying, the Green New Deal should be public ownership centric. The Green New Deals that are coming out of the Democratic Party are almost all about paying corporations and tax breaks to do better, paying them in subsidies to do better, right? That's not a solution, right? A radical socialist Green New Deal is centered in public ownership of things. It's centered in public housing. It's centered in It's centered in the nationalization of the oil and gas industry, of the energy sector, right? If we don't fundamentally change how we do it, it's not going to work. And if we're only on the outside of these movements saying these things, that no one's hearing us and the movement's likely not going to shift with us. But if we show up in these movements as Green Socialists with these, transformational radical ideas, then we have way more chance at moving them, right? And especially if we can show up in mass, right? If it's just me, I'm just that annoying socialist they have to deal with, right? But I do work so they keep me around, right? But if we show up with our whole, if all of Allegheny County Green Party shows up at these, starts showing up at these meetings, now they have to listen, right? They have to, and now in my opinion, the strongest local in green local in the country is now flexing and moving a movement. So it's really important that when we do these things, we do them as Greens, right? Not to take credit, but to make sure that our ideas are heard, and the fact that there's an organization and an institution organizing towards them, is something that's factored in. So yeah, if you like what you've seen here, if you want to get more involved in Green Socialist Organizing Project, go to greensocialist.net and sign up. We have monthly membership meetings where all of our working groups report, and often we talk about whatever's hot in politics at the time. From there, we get you plugged into the appropriate working groups. If you want to get involved in education, sign up and you'll work with Garrett and I on putting together workshops and stuff like that. Yeah, we'd love to have you.